8 things to know before traveling to Australia. You ever hear that Australia has more beaches than you could visit in your entire lifetime, even if you went to a new one every single day for over 20 years? That was the first thing that caught me off guard when I started planning a trip there, because suddenly the place felt way bigger and more surprising than any travel guide had prepared me for. Australia is one of those destinations people dream about, but rarely understand fully until they stand there, blinking under that bright southern sun, wondering why the sky somehow looks bigger than normal. So let us jump right into it, because Australia is full of little surprises that can completely change how you plan your trip. The sheer size of the country. The first thing people underestimate is how enormous Australia actually is, and it hits you the moment you start mapping out destinations. You look at a map and think, Sydney to Perth, not too bad, and then you realize the flight takes almost as long as going from London to Istanbul. The scale can feel intimidating at first, like everything is tempting you to overplan and then watch your schedule crumble. But the funny thing is, the moment you understand that the country itself is the adventure, everything becomes less stressful. The distances force you to slow down, choose fewer cities, and actually enjoy the moments instead of rushing through them. The sun hits different. Everybody has heard the sun is strong there, but until you feel it, you do not really grasp what that means. The UV levels can spike so easily that even people who never burn suddenly find themselves glowing like a tomato after a casual walk. At first, it seems like something to worry about, but what travelers quickly realize is that Australians have already solved this with their laid-back, practical style of life. The hats, the light shirts, the simple routine of reapplying sunscreen, it becomes second nature. The sun becomes less of a threat and more of this giant spotlight that makes every outdoor moment feel cinematic. The wildlife is everywhere, in a good way. People joke about Australia being full of creatures, but what surprises visitors is not danger. It is how normal and peaceful everything feels. You might be walking through a suburban neighborhood and suddenly see a kangaroo, casually hopping like it is out for morning errands. You might hear birds that sound like they belong in a sci-fi movie. You might look out your balcony and see a possum staring back like it pays rent. The idea of wildlife being everywhere can sound intimidating from afar, but in person it feels magical and surprisingly gentle, almost like nature is constantly saying hello without barging in. The weather changes. Fast Australia has some of the most unpredictable weather moods, and it is honestly kind of charming. You can be sitting at a beach under clear blue skies, and 10 minutes later clouds roll in like a dramatic movie scene. It is not something to stress about because locals treat it like a natural rhythm, and you start to adapt the same way. A light bag, a flexible mindset, and suddenly the changing skies become part of the fun. Instead of planning the perfect day, you end up discovering unexpected moments. A hidden cafe you duck into during a quick shower, or that oddly satisfying breeze that cools everything down when the sun returns. The food culture is seriously underrated. Everyone hears about the beaches and kangaroos, but the food is what sneakily steals travelers' hearts. Australia has this surprising blend of fresh ingredients, multicultural influences, and a coffee culture that feels almost sacred. What throws people off at first is how passionate Australians are about breakfast and coffee, to the point where even a simple avocado toast tastes like it was crafted with deep philosophical focus. It can be overwhelming in the best way because you find yourself discovering places you never even intended to visit, all because a local casually mentioned them. And the portions, the flavors, the creativity, it all feels effortless. The cities feel familiar but completely unique. Walking through cities like Melbourne or Sydney is strange in the most fascinating way, because they feel both familiar and completely different at the same time. A street can remind you of New York or London for a second, then suddenly shift into something distinctly Australian with its relaxed pace, street art, and open spaces. Sometimes it feels like the cities were designed to encourage wandering without rushing. At first, the mix can seem confusing, like you're trying to match the vibe to something you know, but eventually you stop comparing altogether, because Australia's urban energy has its own personality. And once you slip into that vibe, the cities feel less like destinations and more like places that welcome you into their rhythm. The beaches are on another level. People expect beautiful beaches, but they do not expect the sheer variety. Some are peaceful and quiet, perfect for moments where you want nothing but the sound of waves. Others feel like natural stadiums of energy with surfers cutting through water like they are performing for the horizon. The only challenge travelers face is choosing which ones to visit, and that problem quickly becomes part of the fun. You might worry about picking the wrong spot, but the truth is, even random little beaches end up feeling like they belong on postcards. The coastline is like a long, continuous gift, and exploring it is one of the most rewarding things you can do there. The culture is relaxed, but deep Australia is known for being laid back. But what visitors sometimes overlook is how meaningful and layered its culture truly is. You might meet people who joke around easily but also carry a gentle pride in their heritage, their landscapes, and their communities. The stories, the humor, the small conversations in cafes or along hiking trails, that is where Australia reveals its heart. At first, the relaxed attitude may make you feel like everything is light and carefree, but as you listen more closely, you start noticing how rooted people are in their identity. And the best part is how naturally they share it with visitors. So if you go, take your time to actually talk to locals. It adds a whole new dimension to the trip. The outdoors become part of your routine. Even if you are not usually an outdoorsy person, Australia has a way of pulling you outside. Maybe it is the sunlight, maybe it is the scenery, or maybe it is just the way people casually say, "Want to go for a walk?" Like it is as normal as asking for a glass of water. At first, it can feel like a shift, especially if you come from a place where outdoor plans require planning and motivation. But in Australia, it becomes natural so quickly that you almost forget your old habits. The parks, the trails, the coastal walks, all of it blends into daily life, and suddenly, exploring nature feels as effortless as breathing. It is one of the most surprising changes travelers experience, and it stays with you long after you leave. The energy leaves a mark on you. Australia has this way of getting under your skin in a soft, quiet way, and most travelers only realize it on the flight home. It is not just the landscapes or the wildlife, it is the combination of everything: the balance of nature and city, the easy warmth of people, the rhythm of the days, the little surprises tucked into every moment. You go there expecting big sights, and you leave remembering the small details that felt unexpectedly meaningful. And once you have felt that, it is hard not to plan a return trip. If you enjoyed this deep dive into what to expect before heading to Australia, make sure to like the video, drop a comment if you have been there or if it is on your list, and subscribe so you do not miss the upcoming guides. Your engagement really helps the channel grow, and I cannot wait to share more travel stories with you.